This DUI traffic stop just caught my attention, and what you're about to see has some serious legal problems. A woman gets pulled over in Bentonville, Arkansas after allegedly swerving multiple times. The officer runs field sobriety tests. She fails, gets arrested with a 0.14% BAC. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But here's what most people don't know. The officer made critical mistakes during the stop that could get this case thrown out in court. And if you ever find yourself in a DUI stop, you need to know these rights, because what happened here could happen to you. I'm breaking down the body cam footage, explaining every field sobriety test, and showing you exactly where this officer went wrong. Let's get into it. All right, so let's set the scene. January 15th, 2023, just after midnight in Bentonville, Arkansas, Officer Nathan Smith is on patrol when he spots a black SUV drifting over the yellow line multiple times on Southeast Walton Boulevard. Now, let me be clear. Crossing the center line repeatedly is valid, reasonable suspicion for a traffic stop. The officer is within his rights here. He pulls the vehicle over in a parking lot, approaches the driver's side, and makes contact with the driver, Brooke Teague. Right away, Officer Smith notes several indicators: bloodshot and watery eyes, slurred speech, and, this is important, the smell of alcohol coming from the vehicle. Brooke admits she just got off work at JJ's Grill and had one drink, a Miller Lite. Now, here's where things start to get interesting from a legal perspective. Okay, stop. Did you catch what just happened? The officer asked Brooke where she was coming from, what she had to drink, when her shift ended. These are incriminating questions. Here's the legal issue. Once an officer has reasonable suspicion that you're driving under the influence, and let me tell you, the smell of alcohol plus slurred speech is more than reasonable suspicion, you are technically detained. You're not free to leave. At this point, before asking questions that could incriminate you, the officer should read Miranda Rights. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but it's just a traffic stop. Here's the thing. The Supreme Court has been going back and forth on this for years. In Berkemer versus McCarty, they said routine traffic stops don't require Miranda. But, and this is a big but, once the questioning shifts from routine license and registration to how much did you drink, that's custodial interrogation. Could this get the statement suppressed? Possibly. A good DUI attorney would absolutely file a motion to suppress based on this. Now, let's talk about these field sobriety tests, because this is where most DUI cases are won or lost. There are 3 standardized tests, and the officer has to administer them exactly according to NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, protocols. Let's break down each one. Test number 1, horizontal gaze nystagmus, the HGN test. This is the eye test. The officer holds a pen or flashlight and moves it side to side while watching your eyes. They're looking for 3 things in each eye. Number 1, lack of smooth pursuit. Does your eye jerk as it follows the object? Number 2, distinct nystagmus at maximum deviation. Does your eye jerk when looking all the way to the side? Number 3, onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees. Does the jerking start before 45 degrees? That's 6 total clues, 3 per eye. If you show 4 or more clues, the officer concludes you're likely over 0.08% BAC. According to the report, Officer Smith observed all 6 clues. Now, here's what you need to know. The HGN test is actually the most accurate field sobriety test, about 77% accurate when done correctly. But, and here's the legal challenge, lots of things can cause nystagmus that have nothing to do with alcohol: caffeine, nicotine, certain medications, inner ear problems, neurological conditions, even fatigue. A good defense attorney will hammer this in court. The HGN test alone is not enough for a conviction. Test number 2, walk and turn. This is the classic walk in a straight line test. You take 9 heel-to-toe steps down an imaginary or real line, turn, and take 9 steps back. The officer is looking for 8 specific clues. Number 1, can't keep balance during instructions. Number 2, starts before told to. Number 3, stops while walking. Number 4, doesn't touch heel to toe. Number 5, steps off the line. Number 6, uses arms for balance. Number 7, improper turn. Number 8, wrong number of steps. If you show 2 or more clues, you fail. According to the report, Brooke showed multiple indicators: lost balance during instructions, used arms for balance, stepped offline, took wrong number of steps, improper turn, and missed heel to toe. That's basically all of them. But here's the problem, and this is where the officer screwed up. The report says he used an imaginary line on a flat surface. Okay, that's allowed. But did he properly explain that it was imaginary? Did he give Brooke a reference point? More importantly, and this is the big issue, the walk and turn test is what we call a divided attention test. It's designed to be difficult. You're supposed to listen to instructions, remember 9 steps, keep balance, count out loud, make a specific turn. Even sober people fail this test 30% of the time. If you have any physical limitations, bad knees, back problems, you're overweight, wearing heels, this test is basically set up for you to fail. The legal standard is whether a reasonable person could complete this test under the circumstances. Was the parking lot well lit? Was the surface level? Was it raining or icy? These all matter. A defense attorney would request the full body cam footage to check these environmental factors. Test number 3, one leg stand. This is exactly what it sounds like. You stand on one leg, raise the other foot 6 inches off the ground, and count out loud for 30 seconds. The officer looks for 4 clues. Number 1, sway while balancing. Number 2, uses arms for balance. Number 3, hops. Number 4, puts foot down. 2 or more clues equals fail. Brooke showed swaying, used arms for balance, and put her foot down. According to standards, she failed. But again, same issues apply. This test has about 65% accuracy, and physical conditions matter a lot. So Brooke gets arrested, taken to the station, and here's where things get more interesting legally. The officer reads her the Arkansas Statement of Rights, and she agrees to provide a breath sample. After a 20-minute observation period, she blows a 0.14%, almost twice the legal limit of 0.08. Case closed, right? Not so fast. Let's talk about that 20-minute observation period because this is critical and most people don't know about it. Before administering a breathalyzer, the officer is required to observe you continuously for 15 to 20 minutes. Why? Because if you burp, vomit, regurgitate, use mouthwash, or smoke, any of those things can cause mouth alcohol, which gives a false high reading on the breathalyzer. Now, here's the problem with this case. The report mentions they found suspected vomit in the 2 center cup holders during the vehicle inventory. Vomit in the car. So we know Brooke was sick enough to vomit while driving. The question a defense attorney would ask, did she vomit or regurgitate during that 20-minute observation period? If she did, and the officer didn't restart the clock, that breathalyzer result could be thrown out. The report doesn't specify whether she burped or regurgitated during observation. That's a huge hole in the prosecution's case. All right, let's break down the legal problems with this DUI stop. Issue number 1, Miranda Rights. The officer asked incriminating questions during a custodial detention without reading Miranda. A motion to suppress could exclude her statements about drinking. Issue number 2, Field Sobriety Test conditions. No documentation of environmental conditions. Imaginary line on a flat surface. But how flat? Lighting? Weather? These matter for the walk and turn test validity. Issue number 3, physical limitations. No inquiry about physical disabilities, injuries, or medical conditions that could affect balance tests. This is required under NHTSA protocols. Issue number 4, vomit plus observation period. Vomit found in vehicle, but unclear if she burped or regurgitated during observation. This could invalidate the breath test. Now, does this mean Brooke was innocent? Not necessarily. A 0.14% BAC is significant, but does it mean there are legitimate legal challenges to this arrest? Absolutely. So what should you do if you're ever in a DUI traffic stop? Here's my advice as an attorney. Number 1, be polite, but assert your rights. You must provide license, registration, and insurance. You do not have to answer questions like, how much did you drink? You can politely say, officer, I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I'd like to speak with an attorney. Number 2, field sobriety tests are voluntary. In most states, including Arkansas, you can refuse field sobriety tests. There's no penalty for refusing. The officer might arrest you anyway based on other evidence, but you're not giving them more evidence against you. Number 3, breathalyzer refusal equals consequences. Arkansas is an implied sense state. If you refuse the breathalyzer, your license gets suspended for 6 months minimum. But the prosecution has less evidence against you. This is a strategic decision you need to make. Number 4, document everything. If you can safely do so, note road conditions, weather, officer behavior, your physical condition, any medical issues. Number 5, get an attorney immediately. DUI cases are won or lost on technicalities. An experienced DUI attorney knows exactly what to look for: improper test administration, Miranda violations, observation period issues. In this case, a good attorney could potentially get the statement suppressed, challenge the field sobriety tests, and question the breath test validity. So what do you think? Was this arrest by the book, or did Officer Smith make critical mistakes? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And here's the thing. If you learned something new today about DUI stops and your rights, hit that subscribe button, because I break down cases like this every week. I want to make sure you know your rights so you're not caught off guard. If you want me to analyze a specific Bodycam case, drop the link in the comments. I'll pick the most requested ones for future videos. And if you're facing a DUI charge, do not try to handle it yourself. Get a qualified DUI attorney in your state. The consequences, jail time, fines, license suspension, insurance increases, are too serious to risk. Thanks for watching Legal Logic. I'll see you in the next one.